Reform UK has become Britain's largest party after overtaking Labour. That is according to the Times newspaper.
Yeah, the new figures show the Labour Party has fallen below 250,000 paid-up members, suggesting it's lost one in every 7 minutes, one person in every 7 minutes since winning office last year.
That means Reform UK, which has 268,631 paid-up members, according to its own live counter, is now the largest party.
Let's talk to political commentator Piers Pottinger. Piers, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I mean, look, it's something for the party to celebrate, but we need to take a step back, don't we, and say, why is this happening? Why are so many people not only saying they would vote for reform in the opinion polls, but why are so many people putting their hands in their pockets to sign up? Because that's a completely different step.
Well, I think it's a measure of the anger that the people are feeling towards the traditional parties. We've seen the mess the Conservatives ended up making, and now the Labour Party, which seems to have completely ignored its manifesto, failed to keep its promises, taxed everyone. It's a total mess. And now we've just seen the very latest forecast where we look as though we're heading into recession, which is really worrying for this government. I mean, Reform have really motored, and they're now nearly 270,000. The other party that's really motoring is the Greens, and they're up to 170,000, which is a huge number. I mean, the Greens were a little joke a year ago, and now their leader, whatever you think of him, and I have to say he's a fairly odd bloke, but nevertheless, for the young, he is attracting a great deal of support. And it's also very interesting that one of the Labour Party manifesto pledges was to bring the voting in for 16-year-olds. They've gone very quiet on that. I wonder why.
Well, I was just about to put that to you, actually, Piers, because you do wonder if this is a triumph of social media and the triumph of the soundbite, because kids nowadays, I say kids, but, you know, those who are the 16-year-olds, they deal in these tiny little snippets.
Absolutely.
They seem to be able to manage a minute or 2 minutes, and that's it. And, of course, you know, both the Greens and Reform UK are both really good at that.
Absolutely.
Your personal data could be exposed right now without you even knowing it. And if you want it removed, use incogni.com/GBNews in the description now and get 60% off an annual plan on us. Incogni reach out to the data brokers on your behalf and request that your information be deleted from their databases. And they'll keep sending removal requests to make sure your data stays gone. Sometimes your information ends up on strange, obscure websites that automated tools just can't reach. And that's why Incogni just launched their unlimited plan with a feature called custom removals. With this, you can submit any link where your personal information appears, literally paste in the URL, and their privacy team will investigate and work to get it removed. And getting started is super easy. Hit the link in the description, create an Incogni account, and tell them whose data you want removed. Grant them permission to work on your behalf, and then all you've got to do is sit back and relax. They'll keep you updated along the way. Incogni is totally risk-free for 30 days. If you try it, it's not for you, you'll get a full refund. So take back control of your personal data today with Incogni. Use our code GBNews at checkout via the link in the description, and you'll get 60% off an annual plan.
Absolutely. And I mean, everything is shorter attention span. For example, American sitcom on television, every scene is a maximum of 2 minutes long, because that's how long they reckon someone can pay attention for. And
it's just amazing.
when you think about that, you see that on TikTok and Instagram, all the social media, it's all very small bites, and people are rather scatterbrained, and they see this and they sign up for things. I would say a large percentage of all parties who maybe except, strangely enough, the Conservatives, whose membership is is people who are very still committed to the Conservatives. I would love to know the average age, because I think it's probably quite high there still. But Reform, the point is the Reform Party are very good communicators. Nigel Farage is the best communicator in the country. David Bull, the chairman, is very good at communicating with members, and he's working incredibly hard all around the country. I mean, the Reform Party machine is now really looking quite slick and effective.
Well, yeah, the machine is looking good. The problem that Reform have got, when you look at all the polls and all the membership and all the rest of it, is that if there was a general election tomorrow, they would win.
Yes.
But they haven't got the team,
no.
have they?
That's it.
We need a Reform shadow cabinet.
We do, and we still don't have that. And also, I think they have to be very careful about accepting every Tory defection that comes along, because otherwise they will soon be targets of the claim that they're just a bunch of old Tory, which people won't want to vote for. So Nigel Farage and his senior team have got to be very careful about who they allow to defect, because I think that can be negative rather than positive for them. And I also think that, you know, we're still a long way off from a general election, and the danger for Farage and his team is that they may have peaked too early.
Well, I was also going to point out that when under Jeremy Corbyn, under Jeremy Corbyn, they got a very big boost to numbers, which, of course, then didn't translate in the election.
Well, people also saw what Jeremy Corbyn was like. And I mean, you know, even his new party is a complete catastrophe, and it hasn't even really started yet. And the Labour Party is splintering everywhere. The Lib Dems, you would have thought, with 70 seats, would have built on that and built their support, but instead it's going backwards, because all that they seem to do is do fairground stunts, which doesn't really appeal to people. They, I think, are perhaps the most disappointing party, strangely enough. If I was a Lib Dem, I'd be really annoyed that no progress, literally no progress.
Despite all those new
Despite
MPs.
everything they had. And it's going nowhere. So, but there's no doubt, though, that at the moment, Reform are the party of the day, and they are the ones to beat. And, of course, that's why Starmer is now changing his tactics from being more of a socialist. He's now trying to suck up to would-be Reform voters.
Yeah. All right, Piers. For now, thank you very much. We'll see you a little bit later. Now, at 7:10, the head of the Metropolitan Police, Sir Mark Rowley, has told shops and retailers that they need to do more to stop shoplifting.
In an interview with The Telegraph, Sir Mark Rowley cited corrupt security guards and security guards, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's sort of saying essentially that they might be in with it, and retailers refusing to share CCTV.
Elsewhere in the news, which we'll also discuss with our guests, Reform UK has become Britain's largest party after overtaking Labour when it comes to membership numbers.
Yeah, editor of Spike, Tom Slater, joins us now. Let's talk about the shoplifting, first of all, then. And this is the Met Police putting a bit of the blame on the retailers themselves.
And I'm sure there is a bit of that blame to be put around. I mean, what Sir Mark Rowley talks about specifically is, first of all, there being some isolated instances of security guards being kind of in on it, and therefore this is why a lot of people are evading justice in the moment. Also, just saying that because you've got employers who might not give people time off so that they can, you know, give their statements to the police or even, you know, attend court and so on and so forth, that is part of the problem in dealing with this issue. But I think we all know that that's not the main issue, is it? I mean, there has been a crackdown in London amongst Metropolitan Police. So far, it has produced a staggering about 4 or 5% decrease in the rate of shoplifting, but it's still a huge problem. We all know that. And it's also something which is still a fraction of the cases. I think it's something like 8% of shoplifting, which is reported, ends up being resulting in a charge, let alone a conviction. So it does feel a bit like victim blaming and trying to shift some of the burden for dealing with this, rather than just facing the fact that not just in the capital, but across the country, this is sort of spiralling out of control a little bit, and in a way that we weren't accustomed to even 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago.
It's a bit of an odd statement to make. Look, can we have a look at reform? Because I tell you what, opinion polls. We always say, you've got to be careful with opinion polls. We're told this constantly, especially in the run-up to an election. However, membership numbers, not that many people actually sign up to a political party. So it's an interesting indication of how well they're doing. Reform now has more members than any other party in the country.
And this is a staggering achievement. And the numbers here are that 268,703 members have now formally signed up to Reform. Labour have been a bit, shall we say, sheepish about releasing the membership numbers because there has been a pretty clear drop since Keir Starmer came to power.
They reckon about 100,000 going, don't they?
Exactly. You know, with quite good reporting and internal leaks and so on, they know it's south of 250,000 now. If you think about the kind of 500,000 they reached under Corbyn, that's pretty significant. The Tory party trailing far behind, 123,000. It's actually been overtaken by the Green Party under Zach Polansky, who've now got 180,000. But it's, as ever, even membership numbers come with a bit of a health warning. As we were talking about, Jeremy Corbyn, they had 500,000
just about
members.
to point out that Jeremy Corbyn, yes.
You can have a lot of members.
You can have a lot of members, but does it get reflected when we go to vote?
Exactly. So there is a health warning there. It's also worth bearing in mind that historically these aren't huge numbers. I mean, in the post-war period, something like 2.8 million people were members of the Conservative Party, 1 million were members of the Labour Party. If you counted all the kind of affiliated trade unions and other socialist parties, the Labour movement was something like 5 or 6 million people. So it's a much lower rate than we've seen historically. But I think you are seeing rising interest in politics. And one thing that, if handled correctly, and if your membership, unlike under the Corbyn years, isn't too out of whack with where public opinion is at, it's obviously a tremendous asset in terms of enthusiasm, in terms of activists, in terms of people who might kind of matriculate through and become candidates and so on. So it's another significant marker that I think Reform have put down as they head into next year and the elections that we'll see there.
It's interesting, isn't it? I was just thinking back to when I was growing up, and people used to. There was always a Tory party club where you would get the
Con Club, yeah. There was always a Con Club.
There was, wasn't there? And it was places where you'd go really to chat to like-minded people, and I don't know, they just seem to have disappeared, or am I wrong?
Well, they're still around, but they're more like social spaces now, aren't they, rather than political spaces.
Yeah.
And I think, in a way, if we're talking about party membership, the Tory party is a good one to dwell on because it was, at least according to their own claim numbers, these things are disputed, by membership, the largest political party by membership. And now it's just completely withered on the vine. I mean, it used to have, real roots in society, not just for its own, Conservative Party associations, but also through the church, various institutions and so on. The Church of England used to be called the Tory Party at Prayer. All of that has kind of disappeared, and particularly in this kind of new era of politics that we're in, where more people who weren't involved previously are getting involved, they're not getting involved with the Tory party.
Is there a way back, though? I mean, there's been all this talk about, and she has been a better performer, Kemi Badenoch, at the budget response and PMQs and all that. So she has been stronger and more pointed. But is that going to be enough? Can the momentum of Reform be stopped?
It's at the moment, it doesn't seem like it. And I think that Kemi Badenoch had a terrible inheritance, and I think people were kind of quite hasty to say she's having a terrible go of it and start talking about kings over the water. I think anyone who is leader of the Conservative Party right now will probably be having as bad a time. She has been performing better recently, but I also think there's performing well in the sense that, she did well at PMQs and all the political journalists notice it, and there's actually breaking through with the public, which I think is going to be much trickier for them. But it's not to say that they won't continue to play a role. I think particularly now that there's more open discussion about some kind of pact or arrangement, one card the Tory party can play is that can Reform really reach into the kind of middle class, middle England, the sort of people who are still a little bit spooked by Reform. Maybe that's where the Tories have a bit more of a space to play. But at the moment, it feels like they're kind of falling between two stools. You've got an insurgent Reform, and then you've got a left that is splintered, but nevertheless is kind of coalescing around the idea of stopping Reform. Where do the Tories figure in that? It's not entirely obvious.
Yeah, and also when you're talking about things getting better, when you've got, it's kind of almost easier, isn't it? When the bottom's virtually fallen out, it's a bit easier to bounce. At least you do climb back up a bit, unless you just completely disappear forever. Thank you, editor of Spite, Tom Slater.